Hi, I'm Mike DeGreasley and welcome to Cracking CGI. In this short tutorial we'll grab a quick overview of the control panel. Now the control panel is basically the heart of 3ds Max. It's where we can create and modify our geometry. Now there is 6 sections along here, but I think really we only need to concentrate on the first two, which is our create panel. Here's the create panel and our modify panel, and as you can see this is empty at the moment, and that's because we don't have any geometry which to modify. Okay, so let's return to our create panel. Here we can see that we have geometry, and in the sub panel you can see that we've got object types such as box, spheres, cylinders, moving over, tube, pyramids and planes. Now these are under the collective heading of standard primitives. So if we look in this drop down menu here, we can see that we do have a whole range of different types. Here we have particle systems, NURBS surfaces, doors, windows. Now there are going to be a few in here which you won't have in yours. These are things which I've purchased for my 3ds Max. So that's the standard primitives. We also have extended primitives. You should have that one. In there you've got Hydra, chamfer box, capsules, hose, a whole range of things from which you can choose. Here we have shapes. Now shapes, we're looking at splines, so we can create things like lines, circles, arcs, helixes, etc. What else is in splines? Well, we've got NURB curves, extended splines, etc. We can create our lights. Now I've got photometric. You'll most probably have just the standard selection, but here again we've got quite a few. Target, spot, mental ray, area, omni, free spot, etc. Cameras. We can set up our cameras whether we want a target camera or a free camera. Target camera, simply we press that, select, pull it out and click. That section there is where we target the camera. Let's just undo that. We also have helpers. Here we can have our dummies if we want to use a dummy for animation. We have tapes and protractors. Also space warps. Here we can create things like motors, vertexes, gravity, particle bomb, and here we have systems, things such as bones and biped, as well as ring arrays. So that's all within our create panel. Moving on, obviously we can't modify anything until we've actually created it. So in our create panel we're going to have a look at geometry. We have our standard primitives and we're going to create a box, and we're going to work in the perspective viewport here, but I want to maximize it, so this icon down in the bottom right hand corner, click that, we've maximized it. Now if I press the left button on the mouse key, keep it pressed down and drag it out, then let go of the mouse key, we can then pull up, and we left click the mouse key to end the action. Now at the moment this is what's known as a primitive object, but having created the geometry we can now pop over to our modify, and here we can see that we have some parameters with which to play around with. Now length, we can see that it is 33.8 millimeters. Now I could alter that directly by typing in, let's say 50. Pressing enter, it modifies it. Alternatively, what I could do is with a left mouse key press it down, keep it pressed down and adjust it that way. We can do it with the width, and the height also. At the moment, length segments. Well, it says that we've got 3 length segments. 1, 2, 3. We've got 3 width segments, but we only have 1 height segment. And as we can see, it's just the 1. If we increase that, 2 and 3. Now, as I've stated before, this is what's known as a primitive object. We really are limited as to what we can do as far as the modifications are concerned. But if we go over to the object and we right click, we pull up what's known as the quad menu. Now, at this moment in time, all you're seeing is 2 menus, because the other 2 menus on this side don't apply at this moment in time, and that's because the object is still in its primitive state. However, if we go to convert to, we have several options here. Convert to, if it stops playing up, convert to editable mesh, editable poly, editable patch, or NURBS. In most instances, you will convert it to an editable poly. So if we click on that, we can now see that this has changed. It has a little plus mark to the left of it, and we have our sub panels down here which seem now full of options. If we left click on this little cross here, it now opens up new options for us. We have vertex, edge, border, polygon, elements. If I press vertex, what we can see here is that at each point a little blue box has appeared. Let me just zoom in for a little bit, and there we can see, and these are called vertices. Now if I put my mouse over, you'll notice that the cursor changes, and if I left click with a mouse button, it's selected that vertices. If I pop up here to select and move, it brings up a gizmo, and I can now move that vertices. So I'm beginning to modify, shape this object. I can take it over there and put it there. I can grab the vertices in the corner and drag it out. So, having created our piece of geometry, now we can modify it, and if we convert it to an editable poly, we can modify it even further. So what else could we do? Well, let's have a look at polygon. So we'll select polygon. Now these here are polygons, and we can edit them. Let's select that polygon, and if we pop down our menu here, let's see some of the things that we can do. Well, we could extrude the polygon. If we click on the tag to the right of it, the settings, just click that, we can see that we could, if I just pull this down, pull that across, we could extrude the polygon, and here we can determine how much we want to extrude it. We can also select, do we want to extrude it by group, local normals, or by polygon. As we've only selected one polygon, this doesn't really apply, but should we select several polygons, then we could decide how we would wish that those polygons to be extruded. Okay, so we can extrude it by that amount, and I can click that and say OK. Leaving that part selected, we could say, alright, I want to inset it. So click the tab to the right, and as you can see, it's inset the polygon. I can decide how much, or how little. Let's select that, and now if I was to go back to extrude, throws it up again, but this time I don't want it in a positive amount, I want to take it to a negative amount, and click OK. So we can modify our geometry in many different ways. Let's have a look at edge. I want to select this edge, and if I go loop, it completely loops around the edge there. I could then pop back down and say, well, now I would like that to be chamfered, and it will chamfer that edge, and I can say by how much or how many times. Do I want it once or twice, and how much do I want it chamfering? So I can increase or decrease as much as I like. When I'm satisfied, simply click on the tick. But that's not all. Here we have what's known as our modifier list, and if we click on that, suddenly we have a whole host of options to choose from. Our animation modifiers, UV coordinate modifiers. Let's just roll down. Freeform, parametric modifiers, so we could apply bends, tapers, twist, bit of noise. We could stretch it or squeeze it, push, relax. Let's have a look. Surface modifiers, material, displace. So again, a whole range, a whole host of things that we could apply to it. Let's have a look at, well, let's apply a bend. Now it's given us a bend for that one. Let's have a look. We can apply the gizmo, center it, the bend, we can angle it here. Okay, that's a bit silly, but we can see that we can create some fascinating and interesting geometry. Do we want to do it on the x-axis or the y-axis, the z-axis? We can limit the amount as well. So quite a bit to assist us in the shaping of our geometry. And of course this section here is what's known as our modifier stack, and we can add many to this stack, as many as we like. What else do we have in here? Let's apply a turbo smooth. There we go, we've applied a turbo smooth, and it's in the stack. We could turn it on or turn it off as much as we want, and it doesn't really take effect until we actually right click on it and we collapse. So we can collapse it all that way, or we could undo that. It's brought it back, right click on here, convert to editable poly, and it's collapsed it all. Well, I hope this has been of some interest to you. Well, until the next time, I'm Mike de Greasley, and you've been watching a cracking CGI production. I'll catch you later.